Who do you think you are? This is my home. Picture coming back earlier than expected from a business trip. Luggage still in hand, only to find someone lounging on your porch, wrapped in your robe, enjoying your wine, and staring at you as if you're the intruder. That was exactly the situation Caleb Ward found himself in. A black man returning to the house he legally owned, only to be treated like a criminal on his own property. The late afternoon sun poured gently across the quiet cul-de-sac as Caleb, a cybersecurity expert, rolled his suitcase along the familiar sidewalk toward his residence. He had returned from Tokyo nearly 2 weeks sooner than planned, bone-tired but thrilled to finally unwind in the house he had worked years to afford. He anticipated quiet, the faint buzz of the security system, maybe the soft echo of an empty home. He did not expect what was waiting for him. There, lounging casually on one of his outdoor chairs like royalty holding court, sat Patricia Lorne, the iron-fisted head of the neighborhood HOA. The sight jolted him. Patricia was draped in his expensive silk robe, swirling wine in his glass, completely at ease as though this lifestyle belonged to her. Caleb slowed his steps, his fingers tightening around the suitcase handle. He had imagined confronting her once or twice, but never like this. Not walking up his own driveway to see her living comfortably in his home, acting as if she were the rightful owner. For a brief second, when Patricia finally looked up and saw him, her eyes widened and her hand twitched, nearly dropping the wine glass. For that single instant, she looked caught, truly caught, but instead of guilt, something far fouler replaced it: entitlement. Patricia stood, straightening the robe as if reclaiming authority, and marched toward him with a sharp glare. "Who are you? And what do you think you're doing on this property?" she barked, her voice trembling between accusation and fear. Caleb stayed at the bottom of the steps, speaking calmly, evenly. "Patricia, you know exactly who I am." "This is my house." Her face flushed, not in shame but in rage. And then she made the exact move Caleb's lawyer had warned would happen. She yanked out her phone dramatically. "This man is trespassing," she cried as she dialed emergency services, voice cracking just enough to sound convincing. "He's trying to break in. I'm here alone and terrified. Send officers immediately." Imagine returning home and someone else not only living there but calling the police on you. Before we go further, drop your city or country below. Our community loves seeing where everyone is watching from. And if you're against entitlement and power abuse, make sure to like and subscribe, because sometimes the biggest bullies are the ones wearing badges and holding clipboards. Caleb didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. He simply observed the act, silently collecting every lie she spoke, preparing for what came next. Moments later, sirens sliced through the peaceful street. 2 patrol cars sped up and skidded to a stop right in his driveway. Red and blue lights flashed across Caleb's expressionless face as officers stepped out, hands hovering near their weapons. Just like that, the trap Patricia set had been sprung. But to understand how things escalated to police vehicles filling his driveway, we have to go back several months, back to when Caleb first moved into Maple Ridge Estate. For him, purchasing that home was more than a luxury. It was a victory. Proof that the long nights building his cybersecurity company had paid off. After years of cramped apartments and constant travel securing corporate data systems, he had finally bought himself a place of peace. The house itself was a sleek, modern masterpiece. Glass walls, steel framing, crisp minimalist lines, exactly the style Caleb adored. But the peace he dreamed of came with a problem he hadn't anticipated: the Homeowners Association and its self-declared ruler, Patricia Lorne. Caleb met her within days of moving in. He opened the door to find Patricia on his porch, gripping a clipboard like it granted her legal authority. She looked to be in her mid-50s, wearing youthful resort clothing that tried too hard and failed. Her blonde hair was pulled back so tightly it seemed to tug at her smile, because her smile never touched her eyes. Her tone was sugary, but the message was not. She informed Caleb immediately and without greeting that his sleek black mailbox was not HOA compliant and would incur a daily violation fee. Caleb tried explaining that it matched the design of his modern home, But speaking to Patricia felt like debating someone who believed she owned every property in sight. Trying to settle in peacefully, he changed the mailbox to the bland green one she approved. That moment, he would later realize, was the moment Patricia decided he was someone she could control. The harassment never stopped after that. She cited him for leaving trash bins out slightly past collection time. She fined him for planting a Japanese maple that wasn't listed on her outdated landscaping sheet. She even issued a written warning because a package sat on his porch too long. Living under her oversight felt less like neighborhood community and more like obeying a petty tyrant. Then came the Tokyo assignment. Since HOA rules required notice for extended travel, Caleb emailed his departure dates, not realizing he was handing Patricia the opportunity she needed. That simple email was her key. From the moment Caleb boarded his flight overseas, he expected nothing more than long workdays and hotel nights. But midway through his second week, something unusual happened, something only a cybersecurity expert like Caleb would catch. A notification pinged his phone. The thermostat in his master bedroom had been manually changed. He had programmed it to stay at 65 degrees, yet now it read 72. He brushed it off as a system bug. 2 days later, the next alert removed all doubt. His smart refrigerator recorded newly stored groceries, milk he never bought, yogurt he didn't like, and a cheap Chardonnay he would never drink out of principle. His heartbeat tightened. Someone wasn't just entering his house. Someone was living in it. Caleb opened the internal security feeds. What he saw made his stomach twist. Patricia and her husband, Stuart Lorne, were sprawled across his living room sofa, relaxed like it was their own. Shoes off, remote in hand. Patricia wrapped in one of his cashmere blankets. Stuart's feet on the ottoman he'd purchased overseas, and it only got worse. More footage confirmed the invasion. They raided his pantry, slept in his bed, hosted patio dinners using his finest scotch, behaving as though they owned his life. But the deepest cut came when he saw Patricia wearing an item of clothing that belonged to his late wife, Eleanor. A silk scarf he still hadn't been able to put away hung around Patricia's neck as she admired herself in his bedroom mirror. That crossed a line. No one should cross. This wasn't just trespassing. This was violation. This was disrespect. This was personal. Caleb wanted to call the police immediately, but he forced himself to think smart. He needed evidence so irrefutable that Patricia could never twist the story. So he collected everything: video, footage, timestamps, audio recordings, smart home appliance, logs. He turned his house into a digital trap, and Patricia didn't even realize she was already caught in it. Then came the final piece: an audio clip of Patricia proudly boasting that she had Caleb's travel schedule and would slip out before he returned, so he'd never even know. That was the moment Caleb understood her downfall was sealed. Once Caleb secured proof of intent, this was no longer a case of trespassing. It was a deliberate takeover of his home, his space, his life. He forwarded a small preview of the evidence to his attorney, Adrian Wells, a razor-sharp lawyer known for dismantling entitled people who overstepped their power. The moment Adrian saw the photo of Patricia lounging on the couch and heard the audio of her bragging, he responded with 2 words: "Call me, on the call." Adrian outlined a plan that was bold and devastatingly effective. Come home early. Catch her in the act. Let her panic destroy her. Adrian predicted Patricia would escalate, lie, and incriminate herself without realizing it. Caleb's job was to stay calm, say little, and let her dig her own grave. Caleb booked a May 15th flight, returning 2 weeks earlier than scheduled. Adrian cleared his schedule to be available the second Caleb landed. Everything was in motion. All Caleb had to do was walk through his front door. He didn't use his usual airport car service. Instead, he took a cheap taxi and got out 2 blocks away from Maple Ridge Estate. As he approached his driveway, he quietly started recording on his phone. And there she was, Patricia, completely unaware, reclining on his porch in one of Eleanor's silk kimonos, swirling a glass of wine like she owned the world. The moment she saw Caleb, Her face shifted. Shock, panic, then rage. She instantly launched into a performance, dialing 911 and describing Caleb as a dangerous intruder, exactly as Adrienne had predicted. Police arrived within minutes. Officers approached slowly, hands resting near their holsters. Caleb didn't raise his voice. He didn't argue. He simply confirmed his name, his address, and stated that he had proof of ownership. Then he delivered the one sentence Adrienne told him to use. "I'd like to show you something on my security system." And just like that, Patricia's empire began to crumble, right there on her own stage, while half the neighborhood watched. The officers reviewed the footage Caleb displayed, live camera feeds, time-stamped system logs, and the audio recording of Patricia admitting she knew exactly when he'd be gone. Her entire performance collapsed instantly. The woman who strutted around like a queen of the HOA went pale as the officers shifted from questioning Caleb to questioning her. Stewart stepped outside mid-commotion and froze the second he saw video of himself eating snacks in a house he didn't own. Within the hour, Patricia was escorted into the back of a police cruiser, publicly and unmistakably, for all the neighbors she had tormented to see. She was charged with burglary, unlawful occupancy, abuse of HOA authority, and property theft. Stewart was charged as an accomplice. The fallout spread fast. The HOA board held an emergency meeting and removed Patricia permanently. They were forced to rewrite multiple policies, including eliminating the rule requiring homeowners to hand over spare keys. As for Caleb, he didn't throw a party or boast. He changed every lock, upgraded every security system, reclaimed the peace he had earned. But he never forgot how easily power can be abused. If you believe in protecting your home, your peace, and your dignity, tap like and subscribe to the Final Boundary Tales. Because ownership isn't just about a house, it's about respecting the people who live in it.